Hello and welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. We are live on the Washington Live YouTube, the Mount Pleasant Live Facebook, the Fairfield Live Facebook, and the Washington Live Facebook. If you're new to us, we're 4 weeks in and we got myself, Andy Kretzinger, the co-host of Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. My man Hunter Moeller over there. We got Nick Steffens on the ones and twos. I wanted to say that today because he has been on the ones and twos for all four. So
show him a little love.
Yeah, a little love. It's a three-man studio, not a two-man. Hey, it's football season. It's full-on football season. And Tuesday and Wednesday during football season are straight up depressing because there's not football on in the night. High school, college, football, NFL. It's hard to get through the day. So this is like a little treat, Wednesday, 2 o'clock, fire up the old YouTube or Facebook and get Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk and hear a little bit about some high school football or volleyball, cross country, and whatnot. And you don't have to spend your Tuesday, Wednesday curled up in the fetal position like I would if I didn't have this stuff going on. So, Hunter, how you doing today?
Well, not too bad. Glad to be back. We had a exciting week this last week, and we got some good games ahead, good matchups in volleyball, cross country, and football. So just excited to be back here on 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. So
2 o'clock on a beautiful day, Wednesday. It's a great day outside. It's a great day. I wore this out of fashion. I don't need the sweatshirt. It's class. I'm shoehorning classy sweaters into the rotation early this year. Just throw it out. Throw people off a little bit. I actually wore. If you go back, we've had 3 shows so far. I wore the same shirt 2 of the 3 shows. Realize that.
Oh, didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Well, there it goes. That's a little Easter egg.
I'm gonna step up my game though. looking fly over there.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh, not looking too bad yourself.
Oh, thanks.
So, Hunter, you were in Fairfield land on Friday night for a little Fairfield Fort Madison, a little defensive struggle and a battle. Tell me how that turned out.
Yeah, well, Fort Madison coming into that one undefeated, obviously 2 wins for them, and Fairfield, tough loss to Ottumwa, kind of late in that game that Ottumwa was able to score and pull out a win. Kind of the same, basically kind of the same story here. Fairfield ends up losing that one 16-13, but they came out of the gate, first drive there, got a real big play, was around 4th and 12 or so, and Max Wheaton, who also is their tight end, stepped up to punt there, and they ran a fake, and he hit quarterback Tate Allen down the right sideline for a first down. They ended up capitalizing on that drive, and in the first part of the game, it was really the Tate Allen Max Wheaton show. Man, I think they hit each other, or Allen hit Wheaton probably 3 or 4 times on that first drive. But the story of the game was, as Fairfield couldn't find the end zone or any points the rest of the way, they didn't score again until the 4th quarter, and Fort Madison was able to score one in the second there, and then they outscored them 9-3. In the 4th there, but one of the biggest plays of the game obviously came down in the final 2 minutes. Fort Madison drove down the field with about a minute 30 to go, and Fairfield got 4 big stops on the 1 yard line. Stood them up 3 plays in a row, and on the 4th down, Fort Madison fumbled, and Fairfield got the ball, but on the next play, Fairfield tried to run in it and fumbled themselves, and Fort Madison was able to kick a field goal through the upright, and that left about 30 seconds on the clock, and just Fairfield ran out of time in that one. So the tough loss for another tough Trojan squad, and obviously they're dealing with some injuries too.
Hunter Sassini, didn't play, right, and that's such a huge part of their team. Against Mount Pleasant, he ran for a ton of yards, and how it takes a little while to rebound from something like that, doesn't it?
No, I mean, for sure. And when you have a guy that's been dominant on the ground in the first 2 games for you. Go out when he's such a big part of your offense, and obviously, coaches always say next man's got to step up. So, they definitely had that one in their grasp, and they've got a, I would say, a little easier opponent this week. So, I'm sure they're going to try to bounce back in that one. So it'll be interesting seeing if we want to run through, some of the stats from that game. Tate Allen went 12 for 18 with 152 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I mentioned that pass had 1 pass for 17 yards rushing. Miles McEntee stepped into the running back position, rushed 15 times for 48 yards. Receiving, Wheaton had 8 catches. Over half of those were in that first drive there for 90 yards and a touchdown. Tate Richardson, 24 yards. Bode Hoskins, 12. Tate Allen, 17 on that 1 reception. And then Miles McEntee, 1 for 23 yards and a touchdown. There's I'm sure they don't want to make excuses, but, there's some winnable games coming up, and, it's not district play yet, so what do you got to lose? You're just trying to figure yourself out, and
Yeah.
it really matters when the district play comes in.
That's right. No, it's no excuse during football season. That's
Right.
tough for me to adjust. I'm a big excuse guy myself. But well, hey, I was also at a game on Friday night. I was in Washington, and they had a really tough matchup coming in. Clear Creek and Amana. Washington came in 2-0, and Clear Creek was 1-1 with loss to Independence, who's a really good team. And so Clear Creek and Amana made all the plays when they needed to. It was 31-6 Clear Creek and Amana. If you watch the games, between the tackles, it surely didn't feel like a 31-6 game. They were very similar teams. Washington with Patterson and Stewart, they run a lot of handoff from the shotgun, and then Patterson runs a lot around the other side. Clear Creek is a lot like that. They have a good running back in Sam Pettinger, who scored a couple times for him. But this quarterback, senior Jackson Smith for Clear Creek and Amana, he reminded me of some of the best quarterbacks that we've covered. He ran for 203 yards and a touchdown. He also threw for 68. So he was pretty darn good. He actually, for Washington football fans, they used to have a guy named Luke Turner a few years ago. And when Turner played, it would be 3rd and long, it would be 4th down. It would be even on pocket passes, but the second that he took off, you couldn't stop him. And Washington and Mount Pleasant played. I think Washington beat him like 64-61 one year, one of the best games we've ever had at Case Field. And he did that a couple times, and I had flashbacks watching that Jackson Smith play. So he is a very good athlete. Clear Creek, Amana, on 3 of their 4 touchdown drives, converted on 4th down. Fake punt.
Wow.
There's a 4th and 1. They scored on 4th down one of those times. So it was just one of those things where every time there's a big play, it was, went the Clippers' way. So Clear Creek got him on that, and they've got him 2 times in a row now. Clear Creek has. So, but they were very similar teams. And Washington's offense, so they scored early in the second quarter. Taven Stewart scored on a short touchdown run. That at the time made it 7-6. So it was 21-6 at halftime because Clear Creek scored right before the break. But offensively, they didn't get a lot going. Ethan Patterson threw for 51 yards. Taven Stewart went for 37 and a touchdown. Jude Brown caught 4 balls. It ended up at 25 yards, and that led him as far as receiving. So just not eye-popping stats, like Washington had the week before. Defensively, James Strabla had another nice game, 11 and a half tackles. But it was a tough one for the Demon offense.
Yeah, would you say this was a good game to have for the Washington? Obviously, they were beating up on their first couple opponents there. Would you say this is kind of like I don't want to say a knockdown to knockback, but obviously, was it a good game? Going against a real tough squad there to.
I kind of asked Coach Jarrett that a little bit. And it probably it's sometimes in non-district play, lick your chops a little bit. It's not horrible. It was probably a really good game for the defense to adjust to someone like that athletically at quarterback. I don't know off the top of my head who in the district has a lot of running quarterbacks. Tate Allen runs a little bit for Fairfield. He's more of a power, run you over type quarterback. But going against a guy like this, it's probably going to make every other quarterback seem a little slower.
Right,
because he was really good.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of Washington losing and Fairfield losing, it was an 0-3 day for the big 3 for our big schools. Mount Pleasant also lost. They scored 29 points. In fact, they've scored Mount Pleasant has scored 20, and now 29 points in their first 3 games, but they just can't seem to pull out a win. They lost 45-29 against Keokuk. I know they were staging a comeback late in that game, and Keokuk scored a real dagger touchdown there, I think earlier in the 4th, and then squibbed it and somehow ended up with the ball, recovered it. So that was kind of all she wrote. But again, it was a big statistical day for Mount Pleasant's offense. Jacob Rickman, 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's been great. It was his first year as starting quarterback. Senior Wyatt Woodsmall, again, 8 catches, 138 and a touchdown. He had like 10 catches for 100 something.
123 or something like that last week.
Yeah. So their leading tackler was Bowen Davis with 7.5. I'm going to get a couple more receivers here because Mount Pleasant's been passing the ball all over. That offense, seems to be working. Bowen Davis had 2 catches for 82 yards, and that's and a touchdown. So. That was a 75-yard touchdown that he scored. That's why he's averaging so much, because he caught a 75-yard touchdown pass. Carter Amos caught 6 more balls for 62. So Mount Pleasant's offense is there at times. They've scored. They're averaging quick math, 22, 23 points a game. But we'll see at West Burlington if the defense can kind of catch up a little bit, and if they can notch that first win, but it was an 0-3 day for those big three schools, and but we had some wins, didn't we, Hunter? And we're gonna go through some of the other games. We got the small schools. Columbus had another big game, didn't they?
Our small schools, we had some really exciting games out of that out of our small school area. We'll jump right in here with Columbus picking up their third straight win. Obviously, they've probably been one of the hottest teams in our coverage area. They get their third win with 39-19 win over Wapello. They scored 13 in the first half, 26 in the second. Man, they've got that offense rolling in. I heard they're pretty stout on defense. Obviously, we haven't seen them yet. That'll change, this Friday. But Kane Amagon, name pops up again. 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 22 carries for him. Tristan Miller, those two have been huge. He rushed 12 times for 125 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. And Miller also returned to kickoff for a touchdown. So continued good news out of Columbus.
I wonder do we know how many times they passed the ball this week? It was 0 last week.
I think it's been maybe once, like their first 2 games.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure what last week's was, but
they do not care. They are just going to run it down everyone's throat. Run it down your throat. Yeah, that's right. Man's football played in Columbus, so we'll talk about them a little later. We're going to be able to see them live here this week. Winfield Mount Union and New London played a big 8-man game. 2 of our teams, 2 definitely playoff hopefuls.
Yep.
And it's the story of 2 different teams. New London won that 50-44, and they are now 2-0 in district play after a tough non-district. And Winfield Mount Union looked really strong in the non-district, and they've had a couple of tough losses. A 6-point loss right after they lost to Iowa Valley. After they scored 52 against Iowa Valley and lost. So then they scored 44 and lost against New London here. So. For New London, Blaze Porter had a big game through the air, 7 catches for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dom Lopez threw for 4 touchdowns, 193 yards passing. Bowden Pickle had a nice game, all around 85 on the ground, 30 through the air, and a touchdown catch for New London. So they looking pretty darn good, 2-0. Winfield still racked up the yards. Cam Buffington, 134 on the ground, 122 through the air, 4 touchdowns. Those are all receiving, by the way. So those are 4 touchdowns for Cole Milks. So and he led him in tackle. So he went out and did his thing, and he's still playing a little hurt, but that puts Winfield in a tough situation. They got to really buckle down now, and all of a sudden New London might be having some playoff dreams of their own. But who we got next?
Wasn't that just an instant classic too? That game.
Yeah.
I don't expect anything less from that. But
no, that's, by the way, every single sport that Winfield and New London play this year will be something like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're very evenly matched when basketball season comes around. It'll be a pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the same for our next team, right along with those.
Yeah,
with those
exactly.
2. We got Waco. I believe they're sharing number 2 now in some rankings, but they took care of English Valleys in that one, 49-0. We got the same names on the stat sheet here. Isaac Oswald throws for 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 2. I mean, he's just been torching defenses.
Yeah, he has.
Simeon Reichenbach gets in the conversation. He ran 10 times for 99 yards and a touchdown. Reese Oswald and Louding Housingate. Is that how you say it?
I say Huizinga.
That's how I say it, but I've heard other people say it different. Yeah. But they each had both had touchdowns as well. And then Olaf, how you say that?
That's a hard one. Stefanchuk is what I say.
Led in receiving yards with 51, and Reichenbach also had a touchdown through the air as well. So another big win for the number 2 team in class, an 8-man or 8 players. So did
you see the video of Latin Huizinga making that catch? He Odell'd one. That was Odell Beckham Jr. for all you non-NFL fans watching. He had a great catch. See, if I was tech savvy, I should have just zipped that right in here, and it could be playing right now. But that was pretty great.
I mean, at this point, it's like, who's going to stop the Warriors? Obviously, when we talk about WM and New London are probably the other 2 top teams around here that they're going to meet. So obviously they have a big matchup this Friday, which is
Iowa Valley,
probably their biggest test so far. But right now it's Waco rolling, and everyone else is just in their rearview.
It's Waco mania. It's running wild again the second straight year. Van Buren County, we talked about them last week, how they had a loss, but they've been playing really well, and all of a sudden they scored 70 points, 70-22 over Louisa Muscatine. Jackson Manning completed 8 passes for 168. Isaac Leffler went for 133 yards and a touchdown. Wyatt Mertens ran for 107 yards and a touchdown. So if you do the quick math on that, that's almost 400 yards altogether already. Anthony Duncan and Lucas Fett both caught a touchdown there. So they are starting to fire a little bit more on offense. They got homecoming in a couple of weeks here. But again, that's one of our teams, kind of like Columbus, where it's kind of a team to watch this year that's going to be on the up.
Oh, for sure. Moving right along here, obviously we have Sigourney Keota with a huge win over Centerville.
That was huge.
Sigourney Keota takes it 42-7. It's the first one of their season. Obviously, they played a couple barn burners so far, a couple tough teams there. And Centerville was previously unranked. I believe they were in the top 10, and Sigourney was just putting it to them in that game from Twitter and things like that. So huge win for the Cobras there.
Yeah, Centerville had not given up a point. They were 2-0, and they had won. They had outscored opponents 48-0, and Sigourney put it on. They were playing mad. They had a sour taste in their mouth after that Mid Prairie game, and they showed it. So
and they're like a well-oiled machine.
They are
too. From seeing their previous years, things like that. So not
they're
surprised that they come out and rock an opponent like that.
The new kids will figure out the offense as they go along, and they'll be one of our strongest teams at the end, like always, I'm sure. Pekin put it on North Cedar 47-6. Second win for the Panthers. Once again, Luke Long had a great game. It's funny because he caught all those passes last year, and now he stepped in under center. He ran 19 yards for exactly 102 touchdowns. Cade Bemis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Cade's last name right there. He ran 19 times for 89 yards, so they were going a little Columbus Wildcat action, and he scored 3 times, by the way. So 47-6, Pekin's put up a lot of points, a lot more than they did last year. They're on pace for a lot of points this year, so another big win for our teams.
And next we've got a tough loss for Mid Prairie, and this one obviously a really good Regina Catholic team. Regina took that one 35-7. Regina scored 14 points in the first half and 21 in the second. Just tough all-around team there for the Golden Hawks. Mid Prairie, a little turnover bug for them. 4 interceptions in that loss. That's not going to help you there. But Brayden Hartley rushed 20 times for 93 yards and a touchdown. They moved to 2-1. They're going to be looking to get back on track this week. But just tough all-around opponent there for the Golden Hawks in that one.
Sure, and another team that lost was Cardinal lost 16-6 to Davis County, and we talked about Davis County last year. They're a really good team. Cardinals played a little better each week, I think.
Yeah.
They haven't won, but the defenses look pretty good. Davis County's can put up some points. So 16-6, that's not that bad for Cardinal. I think I heard I was there for volleyball last night, and I heard a couple people talking about just they're getting better. You can see the improvements on there. And then we got one more left, Hunter.
Yeah, we've got Wilton 55-9 over Highland. Obviously, we mentioned every week the Highlands, kind of going through that rebuild there, and Wilton's ranked in the top 10. So they're a force to be reckoned with, but there's brighter days ahead for Highland. But you can't really say much about.
Losing to ranked teams.
Yeah, they've played some tough opponents.
Exactly.
Anybody, Highland's time will come again. They just got to learn that offense with all the new kids that they had to put in the positions because all those seniors were leading the way before. But
it's rebuilding plus having they'll probably have our toughest schedule of our teams. So at least the beginning of the year. So there's one more game played, not in high school, but college. Iowa Wesleyan University went down to Westminster College, an old rival in the SLIAC and in the whatever their Division III football conference was that I forget. They're in the North Star now in NAIA, and 41-6 Iowa Wesleyan. They absolutely put it on Westminster. That's their first one of the year. They threw the ball all over the place like always. They threw for they completed just 13 passes. But they went for a lot of yards. If I can actually 221. So that's Iowa Wesleyan in a nutshell. They're throwing for over 200 every week. Their defense has been really good, so they have a chance to go 2-2 this week before conference play. So so there's your college now. High school teams. Before we go to commercial here, who we got coming up this Friday?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this. So I'll just run through who everybody's got matched up against. We got Washington, Fort Madison, big matchup there between the not in the same district, but some Southeast Conference foes. So big rivalry there. We got Fairfield versus Knoxville. Knoxville's been down a little bit. Real potential for Fairfield to bounce back. Mount Pleasant, West Burlington. West Burlington, I hear, has only got 17 players. So
they're shorthanded.
We're going to see what happens with that one. Cardinal versus Central Decatur. Obviously, mentioned Cardinal looking for their first win. Real opportunity there. They've been getting better each week.
Yep.
We got Columbus versus Lisbon. I'll be at that one. That's going to be a real barn burner. Lisbon was highly touted to start the season, so and then Columbus has just gotten better and keeps rolling. So Van Buren at Pella Christian, real tough one for the Warriors in that one. Pella Christian's inside the top 10 rankings as well. Pekin versus Wapello. Wapello is 1-2 on the season, so Pekin's been playing well of late. They've got a really nice defensive thing going over there, and their offense is starting to click. So real opportunity for Pekin to win that one.
It's a good matchup.
New London versus English Valleys. Obviously, English Valleys is down. They're looking for their first win. New London's real hot right now. It's their homecoming. They'll be looking to win that one. We've got Highland versus North Cedar. Both searching for their first win. Another good opportunity for one of our teams to pull out first win of the season. Mid Prairie versus Eddyville Blakesburg, 2-1 Mid Prairie. Eddyville Blakesburg's 0-3. Another good opportunity for one of our teams. Sigourney Kyoto versus Pleasantville. I hear Pleasantville's a pretty stout.
They're usually
team.
pretty
So
good.
it'll be a tough one for the Golden Hawks in that one, but we'll see what happens. And then we got Winfield at HLV. HLV doesn't have a win yet. Winfield, looking to bounce back after a tough loss there.
Yeah.
And then we got Waco versus Iowa Valley, which is probably one of the more exciting games. Iowa Valley's got that stout, really really high powered offense. So Waco's got that great defense. So we're going to see how those two what that clash is going to turn out to be.
Waco's game and Columbus game will be big times to watch. So, hey, before we get out to the other sports, we have some commercials for you. So we're going to throw it over to Nick on the ones and twos to give us a little 30-second break. All right, we're back. People are messing with me because someone tried to send me a fantasy football trade in the middle of my show. So that should just be an automatic reject. Catch me at 2:45 when we're done with this thing. But anyway, we're back. Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. It's Wednesdays at 2:00. Everybody, 2:00 Central. We might have some viewers on the Eastern Mountain Time Zone. Just never know.
Never know.
We get out there wherever you're watching it. Thank you for watching. First off, we're on YouTube or Facebook, sitting in class at school. A teacher probably putting it on the big TV, obviously.
Of course.
You're sitting at home, work, whatever. We should try and go into Buffalo Wild Wings one day and just have them pop them up.
We should.
So we'll do that.
Put us on all the screens.
Yeah. So thank you for everyone watching. We're going to pivot on to some volleyball. And Hunter, you were at a big rivalry last night. Tell us about it.
Well, Washington Mount Pleasant, a little rivalry like you mentioned. Wouldn't expect anything less of the turnout of this one. We had Mount Pleasant picking up the 3-2 victory over Washington this one, and it was a barn burner to say the least. Mount Pleasant comes out, looking real good. Washington was kind of making some mistakes, and Coach Six kind of mentioned after the game in those first two sets. Mount Pleasant took the first set 25-17 and then 25-22. But then, Mount Pleasant's kind of got their backs, on the ropes there, and Washington answered. They bounced back, win 25-21 and 25-15 in those next two sets, and all of a sudden it's looking like Mount Pleasant's back's against the ropes. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Coach Streeter's squad was ready in that fifth set and came out with the edging the Demons in that one, 15-12 to pull out the 3-2 victory, and it's a big win for Mount Pleasant. Obviously, I think. You have to double check, but I think they were on an 11-game skid up until this one, and it's always good to get a big win against a conference foe like that. So, big win for Mount Pleasant. Yeah,
earlier today you were talking about this game. You said you talked to Tristan Scholl last night, their setter, and you said that basically when she comes in, it's a totally different team, right?
Yeah, it just seems like just the flow of the Mount Pleasant offense is much better, and I think it just has to do with obviously she's been a leader in every sport she's played, so I think it's just leader and experience on that side of the floor. But big win for Mount Pleasant, and little fact, these two teams are in the same pool at the Ottumwa tournament this weekend, so Washington's going to get another shot.
Yeah, they see a lot, and they'll be seeing a lot of each other. They stop to play in the tournament; they'll still play in other tournaments. So those two teams are 1 and 2 in the SEC, and there's only one team with no losses in the SEC. Who is it?
And that'd be Fairfield. And Fairfield was down in Keokuk last night, and really no problem for now the number one team in the conference. They swept the Chiefs 25-17, 25-17 and 25-12 in that one. And, we're kind of seeing Fairfield kind of pulling away. Obviously, Keokuk was tied with them. I believe they beat Washington to kind of tie with the Trojans, but the Trojans come out on top now, are sitting top of the conference.
Yeah.
And in that one, Macy Rayburn led with 12 kills. Lily Bergen followed with 11. Rowan Terrell had 6. Maggie Rayburn 5, and Addie Farrell had 2. And Maddie Jones, we've called her name a lot. She led in assists with 33. Overall right now it's, you could say that's Fairfield's, Fairfield's conference to lose, and everyone else is trying to catch up. So, but there's a lot of games left to be played, so we're going to see how that all plays out.
That's a lot of kills for a 3-set game, so they must have had the offense working. I was at one of our small schools last night. I was at, one of our small schools for now is our most growing school, I think, Cardinal. The Cardinal Comets played last night. They played Sheraton, my alma mater, fun fact, in a South Central Conference game. This is a chance to potentially get their first ever SEC win. It's only their second game in the conference. They started out real well, 25-20 in the first set. And then they were up 24-23 in the second, and Sheraton took the next three to even that, 26-24. It was 1-1, and Sheraton took the next two. So it was a tough 4-set loss for Cardinal, a game that definitely could have went either way. I got to say, if they won that second set, I definitely could have seen them going on and winning the third there. But there were a couple of standout performances for sure. First off, I thought that Emily Ward at the beginning of the game, Cardinal had 4 aces in the first set. Emily Ward's a lefty junior. She's a lefty server, and she had Sheraton girls diving left and right. She had 3 aces in that first little spurt there, that first thing. So she had 3 aces coming in, and she had 3 aces in the first set there. So I was really impressed with her. She had them, as she said, she had her head spinning. I had a little blowback myself. I didn't know where the ball was going. So, and Brenna Glider had and I pronounced, apologies if I pronounced that one wrong. She had a great game. She's their middle there. She's their go-to. She's really been their go-to. And she ended up this game with 16 kills, which is pretty ridiculous. And she also had quite a few blocks there. Let's see, what'd she end up with? About 7 blocks there. So she was amazing in the center. They struggle a little bit to get kills from the corners and stuff. They're a little banged up. Emma Becker, who's one of their better athletes, is hurt right now. So, but they showed some promise early, and they almost got that first SEC win, but it's going to have to wait another day. They pulled a 0-2. There's plenty of ball left. I was actually talking to Kansas, their coach, Candace Glader. I'm just going to say it really quick so I don't pronounce it wrong. Last night, they went from the Super South, the Super Conference South, which is a stacked conference with a bunch of ranked teams, right to the SEC, which is another stacked conference. That's probably the SEC's best sport. So it's tough. They're young and they're learning, but I almost stole one last night. So, I had to mention, though, it's Cardinals homecoming. Happy homecoming to Cardinal as well as New London. Yep. I got a peek of their theme days, and they're doing meme day. It's either today or tomorrow. Meme day. I don't know.
That's interesting. That'd be interesting to see.
Maybe like 3 Spider-Mans walking in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because the point meme. I don't know. But I thought that was cool. I looked at it, I was like, that's one of the best ones that I've ever seen right there. So, anyway, we had some more small town action last night. We had a lot of winners last night.
Yeah, we did.
Winfield Mount Union, we had a lot of teams playing against each other. Winfield Mount Union swept Hillcrest Academy. Brady Buffington and Melina Epping had 6 kills apiece there. Highland with a 4-set win over Columbus. All 4 of those games were 25-19 or closer. Sarah Burton with 14 kills and 16 digs. She just does it all in a lot of different sports. And we also had Pekin 3-1 over Louisa Muscatine. Pekin is now 2-2 in the Super North. Kylie Fitzsimmons had 10 kills. Quinlan Baker had 19 assists there and 8 digs. She co-led. 10th ranked in Class 1A, New London swept Van Buren County in another battle of our teams. 25-16, 25-16, 25-23. And then on Monday, Keota fell to the rival Sigourney Savages, 25-14. 25-18, 25-10, and I was also at Iowa Wesleyan on Monday. They've had a tough schedule. They haven't got their first win yet. They're playing Haristo State University. 2 of the 3 sets were pretty close, and the middle one was kind of a stinker, but they were all stinker because Haristo took them all, 25-22, 25-10, 25-23, so Iowa Wesleyan is still looking for that first win.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to talk about big games, obviously I was at a big game last Thursday with New London and Notre Dame, and obviously Notre Dame's ranked 6th, New London ranked 10th now. Notre Dame's 2-time defending state champions. And New London falls in this one 3-1, but it very well could have been New London's game. Obviously, in that first set, they dropped 32-30, and they were leading 30-29. And then Notre Dame called a timeout, and New London hit the ball out of bounds on the serve, and Gabby Deary, she's been a big reason for their 2 state titles, and she put 2 home to pull Notre Dame out. New London didn't waver, bounced back in the next set, dominated 25-16, but then, New London came out on fire in that third set too, got a 13-7 lead, but Notre Dame didn't go away, ends up winning that one 25-20, and then takes the last one 25-23. 23. So, tough loss there for New London, but, against a, near top 5 opponent there and 2-time defending state champions. I mean, playing them that close and, stealing one in that dominant second set there, what more can you say? And it's obviously, we've talked about all the great teams. You got the West Burlingtons, Holy Trinities, New Londons of that. That the Southeast Super Conference South division there, which is just crazy in itself. That because your West Burlington's rated 4th in 2A and Notre Dame 6th, and obviously Holy Trinity's dealing with some injuries. They were previously rated number 1 and inside the top 5. So
so they have 4 teams in one conference, one division that are have been ranked in the top 10. Not to mention the Linfield Mountain Union's been ranked in the North. So that's a tough division. A tough division. So while you were enjoying some volleyball, I was at a cross country meet, Fairfield Waterworks Park. They had their meet there, and this is the first time that either of us have had a little cross country action, right? Live here. It's just kind of starting. It ends pretty quick. We had 3 winners. The Pekin girls won. I'm jumping it up here. The Pekin girls won the small school race. The Washington boys were able to win. Micah Reese ran really, really well. He PR'd in the first race of the year. He won by a lot. I've got to see some of our freshman girls that we haven't been able to watch yet come out to play. That Avery Rumpf from Fort Madison won it. But Gloucester of Pekin ran really well. Iris Dahl of Washington ran really well on the girls' side. Washington is so strong. They had girls in the top. It was just like a sea of Washington runners, and so it was a talented group. Actually, it's funny. I was talking to Carly Seeley of Fairfield after the game. Or after the meet, and she was just talking about how this is her first time running against so many good freshmen. Mount Pleasant's got a good freshman. Washington's got a good freshman. Fort Madison's got a good freshman. And that's just the big schools, and everyone's got a good. So the freshman girls, the girls cross country, the talent is going up and up and up. But Washington had another great meet over there. So it's Danville, New London was there. They got a great boys team. So we got some stud teams in cross country, and in fact a lot of ranked teams, right, Hunter?
That's what I was about to mention. Obviously we talked about the cross country. Well, let's shed some light on some of the ranked teams here. Well, for 3A boys, we got Washington. You mentioned Micah Reese in that squad there. They're 13th, Class 3A. The Washington girls right behind them, 14th in Class 3A. Mid Prairie. We've called their name for some time now in the running sports. And 2A boys, Mid Prairie's 8th. Danville, New London, you mentioned, is 9th. On the girls, would you expect anything less? Mid Prairie rated 2nd. And then in the 1A girls, we have, you mentioned Pekin. Pekin's 2nd in that. So, a lot of standout schools there, and a lot of standout athletes coming out of our cross country coverage.
Yeah, for sure. And I said that we had 3. We won 3 is because there's big schools and small schools for girls and boys. So Pekin won on the girls' side, the small school girls' side. Washington on the big school boys side, Danville, New London on the small school boys side, and actually the Washington girls only lost by 2 to Clear Creek and Manna. So we almost had we almost went 4 for 4 as far as Union area teams. Now there were a lot of Union area teams running, but yeah.
Well, I will say, looking at this, sounds like we're going to be heading up to state cross country with all these great runners we got, great teams. So it's exciting coming from that.
It is, but then it also gives me a lot. So when you go to state cross country, you got to park in the field. You got to pray for no rain, because if it rains, they come out and they say you can't park in the field. And then there's people running. There's people sprinting up to the golf course. Even runners, because people have to park so far back. So let's hope for if we're up there.
Let's pray for no rain.
Let's pray for for no rain. So that's all we have for high school sports. I had a little house cleaning to take care of. I wanted to mention a couple things before we go today. First off, our Iowa State predictions last week were incorrect. Correct.
So bad.
I think we said that we don't have a lot of trust in the offense of Iowa's offense.
And we were right.
And then they went under what we said they were going to do.
Yeah.
So that's 0-1 on Cyhawk predictions, lifetime for Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk, because we both picked the Hawkeyes. So you know what? We'll get better. Only going up from here. Right. Next year
we can only go up.
Next year, let's both pick opposite teams, and then we have to.
Then
we
will win.
And then we'll start the streak, and then every single year we'll just say that we're on a winning streak, but really, we're just picking the other team.
Sounds great.
Anyway, also I wanted to say one thing I was impressed with Cardinal last night, and every volleyball game I've been to, I watched a little bit of the stream of the Mount Pleasant, Washington. We've had some good student sections, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was in Mount Pleasant last night, and I was right next to that student section there, about blow my eardrums out there.
Yeah, they're both on one side in Mount Pleasant, too.
And, I will say, it's like, going to these games, and, it's always great when they have a nice student section. You kind of feel bad for when, for some of these sports when they don't have a good student section,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
right.
like it makes the environment so much better.
It does. And Cardinals playing Sheridan. I said I went to Sheridan. Even Sheridan's little traveling student section was pretty good, but the Cardinal kids were rocking. I really like something that they do now is the, what's your favorite theme? Do you have a favorite theme that the student sections do? Because I have one.
I don't know what's yours.
Cardinal did White Lies last night, which is where you wear a white shirt and then you write a little fib on it. That's really funny, and kids get really creative with that. Hawaiian. I actually, at the beginning of the year, I was going to keep a standings that showed what the student sections did and then if their team won. And I had a little thing like I think Hawaii was 1-0 and I think Whiteout was 0-1 at the beginning. And I forgot to
I liked, I believe it was at Fairfield Mount Pleasant. You were at that game in basketball season, I believe. And the Fairfield student section had our papers in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I thought you told me
That's
that
right.
was pretty cool.
Yeah. They,
not just because they had our papers.
No, well, of course you get the newspaper when they announce the other team. You pretend to read it, but I told them you got the right right paper. They're Southeast Iowa Union.
Right.
So if anyone wants to do that, I don't want to promise free papers. I almost did it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I almost did it. Not going to do it. But go ahead. Get some papers and do that. And you know what? Then we'll put you in the paper.
Yeah.
That's right. And open it up to the sports page. No, open it up to the news page because then you're reading sports. I don't know. That's really cool when they do that. But anyway, I like it. You know what else I like? I like when I'm in the concession stand and there's like, let's say it's America Day versus Hawaii Day.
Yeah.
And then you have like people running around in American flags and then also people running around like the lays and stuff. And anyway, that was pretty cool. I wanted to mention that. It's been an improvement. Not every school, but as a general thing.
Yeah.
Also Washington football student section. I dropped my drink on the sidelines on Friday. And somebody yelled at me that I dropped it so I could pick it up. So shout out to that kid. I don't know who it was. So anyway, I just wanted to give that. You have any house cleaning on your side?
Nothing. I'm just excited. We talk a lot about fantasy and NFL, and I'm just glad football's back.
That's right. I'm going to get this fantasy trade up, and I'm going to reject it no matter who it is.
Right.
Because you don't.
I would too. At this
interrupt
point in the
Southeast
season,
Iowa
there's nothing no one can give me. My team's.
Your team's too good anyway. Yeah, exactly. So whoever it is, they texted me, which means it was actually someone who didn't have my number, which means they went through the work of getting my number to text me about the fantasy football trade. I will not look at the players. I will reject it. I will give it a 1-star rating. If they have like the 5 stars, I'll give it a 1 star. Yeah.
No, but
no interrupting Southeast
If I had to say
Iowa
something,
sports
I thought we should try to reiterate for people around this area. This area, get out and support your local students. Obviously, you and I do this for the kids,
and for the money.
Obviously, it's our job, but all in all, I feel like we're just we want to shed some light on the kids' performances and things like that. So get out and support your your local athletes.
That's right. Fill it up and keep up with those student section themes. Those are cool. But yeah, also, and thank you again. Whether you are watching on Facebook, on YouTube, whether you're watching from Wagon Wheel Restaurant in Washington or sitting at the dentist's office in the Dental House of Washington, if they got TVs over there, or you're driving your new car from Caparado, they have some of those cars. I got a new car recently. They got for the kids in the back. They could be watching Southeast Iowa Union Sports.
Great way to shout out the sponsors
while you're driving out. So thanks for sponsoring the show, and thanks for watching us. For Andy, Hunter, Nick, and everyone at the Southeast Iowa Union, this is Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk, and we will see you next week.